I do that, thanks. All right, good evening, everybody. It's Monday, April 7th. It is a special meeting of the Windsor Heights City Council. Roll call.
Here. Joseph Jones.
Here.
Michael Levy. Here. Lauren Keaton.
Here.
Lisa Harms.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Roll call.
Pierce.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Levy.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Lauren Keaton.
Yes. Oh, so sorry. Just a second.
House file 924.
My apologies. I was listening to it.
Item 3, public hearing on the proposed tax rate levy. Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Levy. Yes. Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
AJ or?
Rochelle is out today, so just a couple of comments on the budget that we've been working on over the last several months. The proposed tax levy is $14 and just shy of 21 cents per $1,000 in taxable valuation. So that's a decrease of 3 cents from the current fiscal year's levy. Consolidated general fund levy rate would be $8.31. That would be excluding all the protected levies and the debt levy. That's the levy that will eventually decrease to $8.10 in fiscal year 29, subject to any further changes by House File 313. This was not a reevaluation year, so unless a resident or business owner or property owner has done any remodeling, there typically would not be a change to their assessed value, although residents did receive notices in their mail probably in the last week or two suggesting what those reevaluation increases will be for the coming year, and they're fairly substantial in many instances. Happy to answer any other questions you've got. Otherwise, the consolidated tax levy, which is made up of all of the taxing entities, isn't completed, but we do know that West Des Moines intending no change, Des Moines School District's intending no change, so it's West Des Moines School District, and Polk County is intending to decrease theirs by 10 cents. So generally speaking, it looks like most of the taxing authorities in Windsor Heights have either no change or a slight decrease to their levy rate.
I couldn't quite hear what you had said at the end.
I was just commenting on the consolidated levy rate, which is made up of all the taxing authorities, depending if you're in the west side or the east side of Windsor Heights, it would be West Des Moines School District or City of Des Moines School District. Both the school districts have no proposed levy change. In Polk County, they're intending to decrease their levy by 10 cents. There's some other levies in there, such as the community school district and the hospital. They're pretty small levies, but generally speaking, Windsor Heights and the county are lowering their levies and the school districts are keeping theirs steady. So there should be not a significant increase in property taxes for residents this year. I'm not a very loud talker, so get close there.
Any questions for AJ? Is there any, it is a public hearing. Is there any public comment?
Maybe I'm wrong, but.
If you'd like to come up, please.
Thought my property.
Oh, to the mic.
Come right up here to the mic, and if you would introduce yourself and say where you live, give your address.
I'm Elizabeth Walkup. I live in the Windsor Heights, Windsor Woods Condominium Association building at 123 566th Street. And we have about 28 units in our building, but we've been paying back the loan. So they assessed everybody for our recent improvements, like a new roof and so on, over like $8,100, which I have paid off, so that we wouldn't have a price increase on our monthly dues by $97 over 10 years, each month, $97. And I was wondering, it seemed to me like my property taxes went down by maybe $200 every 6 months last year for a change. And it looks like my valuation from 24 to 25 is increased by $13,700. And I was wondering how that was going to affect the next property tax statement, which I think is due in what, August or September?
So there's a few different pieces that are changing right now. The first piece would be the rollback. And so there's an allowable growth increase cap that the state has for when assessed values go up. That doesn't necessarily correlate to taxable valuations going up by that amount. So historically, at least, the state has changed the rollback, the amount of the assessed value that is actually taxable, to accommodate those large swings on reevaluations years, such as the notice you just received. There is some legislation in the works at the State House right now that could adjust that, but it would still cap the revenue increases allowed based off of existing property to 2 or 3% potentially. And so while your assessments may continue to go up, the city and other levying authorities would be restricted on their ability to increase their levy rates, or would have to actually decrease their levy rates to ensure that overall budgets don't go up more than 2 or 3%. So effectively, it would restrict the amount of additional property taxes you'd have to pay off of that new notice that you just received. None of that legislation's finalized yet. It's currently under debate. But one of those two things would likely happen. Either the rollback would adjust to limit that increase in total property taxes paid on your behalf, or the state would change their formula and create a cap on the levying system. The state's also put in some other tax exemptions, or talked about putting in some additional tax exemptions, depending on whether you're a veteran, or if you're over, I think it's 55 or 65 plus. So there'd be some changes to how they currently reimburse residents for homeownership as well. So as you an owner of a condo, you would potentially benefit from some of those additional changes going forward as well.
Down occasionally.
Any other comments or questions?
Close.
Second. Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
The actual vote on the levy is going to be, assuming it is approved, will be April 21st. That will be the next scheduled council meeting. Motion to adjourn to the regular city council meeting.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
All right, call to order the regular meeting of the Windsor Heights City Council. Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Here.
Joseph Jones.
Here.
Michael Libby.
Still here.
Lauren Campbell.
Here.
Teresa Harms.
Here.
Approval of the agenda.
Moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Item 3, presentation from Catch Des Moines by President and CEO Greg Edwards.
Yay.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Seconded.
The soon to depart president and CEO.
This could be my my grand finale to this great board here. So probably we'll retire sometime into July-ish. As I was telling the mayor earlier, we host the National Senior Games this summer, and I pretty much promised them that I would be here to, I don't know what I'm going to do other than be a senior with them. So, but that's kind of my story. Thanks for having us. We will be as lengthy as we possibly can, because I know you love these long presentations. But let's kick it off with a little video here. Our name is Catch Des Moines, and we sell serious fun. But dig a little deeper and you'll find something greater. As the Greater Des Moines Convention and Visitors Bureau, we bring visitors to the region through events and leisure travel marketing, and our impact knows no bounds. Ever wonder how Des Moines lands such events as NCAA March Madness and National Speech and Debate? That's thanks to our year-round efforts connecting national meeting planners and selling them on what we all know. Des Moines is the real deal. And all those videos, lists, yeah, that's us. Whether it's through events, leave a lasting impression.
Most major cities in the country have a CVB. And so if we CVB out there, telling our story, I can tell you from experience that people select venues and destinations based on trusting who they're going to work with and having that ability. Catch Des Moines does an amazing job of building that to the success of our region.
Des Moines is such an important partner at the Iowa Event Center and what we do in the business we do. There's so many events, from sporting events to conventions and conferences. Catch Des Moines has a hand in just about everything. Regional and local meet. It's a huge economic piece to the region.
Catch Des Moines brings in large groups. Groups. Leaving the airport, coming back. We need people continually coming into Des Moines on the visitor. That create that vibrant social scene.
Catch Des Moines helps businesses like mine by just getting the word out. With the help of their social media, their marketing programs, Catch Des Moines makes sure that everyone knows that we exist. And telling my story about why this bakery matters. It's cheerleader to make sure we don't remember it's kept secret.
And while we like to shout about our local businesses, our sports scene has been making plenty of noise too.
In 2022, the youth sports industry was estimated at almost $40 billion. They expect that number to grow to almost $60 billion by 2030. Our region is growing tremendously and it's really turned into a sports mecca. It's because of Catch and their connections that we're able to attract these tournaments and bring tourism into West Des Moines and the surrounding communities.
And it's not conventions and meetings.
So about 10 years ago, competition in the world to Des Moines, and the first what to help that organization maximize its benefit that happens when opportunity to see all kinds of persons visiting the amusement park at the Civic Center, incredible restaurants. Catch Des Moines understands that when you bring 7,000 future leaders to Des Moines future, because those individuals come back and be a part. Someday they might call themselves islands.
A place where people want to live, you'll build a place where people want to work. If you build a place where people want to work, you'll build a place where business needs to be. If you build a place where business has to be, you'll build a place where people have to visit. Our impact is greater.
Because in Des Moines,
Only the S's.
Bring a little tear to your eye. Brought a tear to my eye when we first saw that, but great new video that we came out, and I give Brock and Trina and their teams all the kudos in the world too. Which, by the way, Trina Flack, I think you all know, is our Vice President of Sales. Brock Conrad, our Vice President of Marketing. They are here just primarily for eye candy purposes. And to carry me out of here if you guys do something mysterious. I think you're familiar with our mission statement, obviously to impact bringing in more visitors to the metro area. Go ahead. Hotel tax revenue, this is just a chart really to show the blue line or what the cities retain. The red line is what we retain. In the past, we've received 2/7 of the hotel motel tax. The cities all retain 3/7 of that tax. Breakdown of our expenses. We're proud of this chart here that shows really our money is being spent where it's supposed to be spent, and that is in all our convention sales, our sports sales efforts, and our marketing efforts make up 85% of it, with 15% just to our administrative costs. Last year, we were involved with 393 conventions, meetings, sporting events. 261 of those we actually booked from the very beginning and brought in. And then we booked 300 future convention sporting events into the future years. Marketing wise, we spend millions of dollars obviously on marketing to primarily the leisure traveler, which has been a lifesaver really ever since COVID. Once COVID ended and began to end, we still see higher occupancies on the weekends than we do during the midweek, which is still unusual. That's just showing us business travel is not yet back to where it was previous to COVID. So you can see the breakdown of where we do our spending, whether it be through social media, television, radio, on and on and on. Targeting interests of everything from arts and culture to events in the area, to our major attractions, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a chart that is always fun to just look at. I don't know why, but it's just fun to look at. No, it will show you, again, occupancy trends. And I can't even, this is our weekend leisure visitor compared to the blue line, which is previous year. Good. I'm glad you can see that because I can't.
Bigger if you look that way.
Oh, yeah, that's pre-COVID and there you go. All right, you get it, right? And I think that's it, folks. Happy to answer any questions, take your comments, or just leave you alone.
the calendar doesn't include my 6-year-old's favorite event that you bring in, which is Monster Jam.
Oh, I know.
So that's an accomplishment too. Oh, I know.
Are you going?
Wouldn't you know, my calendar was already full, so I was able to not go, or to not get a ticket, but other people from my house will be there.
It is big event, popular event, yeah. Thank you, appreciate it. See you soon.
Just
Thank
wanted
you.
to quick say something. Thank you so much for your time, at Catch Des Moines. You've been outstanding to work with as a community and also as a board member for maybe the last 6 months or so. Your leadership, especially through the pandemic, has been invaluable. You've helped us to not only navigate challenges, but also brought in new and exciting organizations into the metro, driving growth and innovation that will benefit our community for years to come. So not just you, but also the rest of the staff. So it's been an honor working with you, and your legacy will continue to inspire and shape the future of Catch Des Moines. And then here is my shameless plug. I'm extending the same offer to council here that I did to the board. I would love to have everybody volunteer at least at one Catch Des Moines event, just to kind of see what happens and how much work really goes into these events that are brought in. It's not just they're there for 2 or 3 days. It's quite a long time to put together all of this for the Metro. So I challenge everyone to sign up for one event and maybe I'll come and join you.
So how do we sign up? Because I've been on this council for 10 years and nobody's ever extended an opportunity or invited me to ever participate as a
You're right.
volunteer.
So,
Probably. I mean, I can understand why you would, but.
Some of the upcoming opportunities would be Ironman, National Junior High Rodeo Finals, which. Susan
My
volunteered
favorite.
at. National Senior Games would be another one. So we have several, we can make sure that you do.
Great, yeah, no, that would be amazing. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Skiri has been a great board member. So is the mayor, obviously, but she's attended a lot of different things, our CVB 101 session and different things like that, and really gotten involved. So we appreciate that.
thank you.
I heard that snicker, Therese.
Well, it was like kind of like an afterthought, you know?
I mean, I believe Susan held the lead on livestock in the middle of the road. And I haven't heard that same story about you yet, Mayor.
That's
so-
true.
Not share these.
That's true. Well, you better get used to all those compliments on this farewell tour, Greg, because you've done incredible work.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. All right, public hearing on the proposed plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimated total cost for the Forest Coat Overlay Project.
To open the public hearing.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris. Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
AJ?
I'll pass it over to Justin, who should be online.
Yes, we took bids last week for the overlay on Forest Court. In the packet, you'll see all the bids and the winning bidder, I guess, which came in under our estimate. So it was a good sign. One other note to do, this overlay is a little different than we've done before. We are using recycled plastics in it. So it includes bags and other things that the contractor puts in there to help with reflective cracking and other elements too. So good environmental project that we came up with. So hopefully it goes well, and we might try to do a bag collection with help from Adam and others that we can collect and then send in, and hopefully we can get it put in the pavement itself. So I'd be happy to take any other questions.
Justin, a real quick question, perhaps pertaining to recycling. In the state of Illinois, they use crushed glass in the underlayment. Does anybody in Iowa do that? Do you know?
Probably not. It was this type of thing. I think the company we're using only has a handful within the country. I've seen it go out in Colorado before. I think it's their first time in Iowa itself. So not that I know of, not saying it can't be done, couldn't be done, or it hasn't been done in the state, but nothing I've heard of, I guess.
All right, thanks.
Jingles.
Yeah, jingles.
Any other questions, comments? Any public comment? Okay, motion to close.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Consideration of resolution number 2025-26, a resolution awarding the Forest Court Overlay Project to Grimes Asphalt and Paving.
Move to approve.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Item 5, public forum. This is a time set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. No action may be taken. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and keep your comments to no more than 5 minutes.
I know some of you know me. I'm Jay Kennedy. I own Thirsty Pigs Mobile Event Company. It's it's been great working with the city, doing events and watching all the planning and execution, which is nearly done. I mean, it's just a beautiful facility down there that we help out with. I just wanted to get ahead of the horse on this one because sometimes you guys are give me a little grace and try to. I just think there's things happening at AB Alcohol Beverage Division that I just want to, be more ahead of schedule. I think with the amount of events that we do is kind of twofold. I was hoping to assist or be available for smaller, like a wedding or a family reunion or corporate event with maybe service for that facility and area at different times. And then instead of pulling the 5-day permits or the 14 to get through Nights in the Heights, maybe try to apply for a slightly longer license to help carry some of those events. So I just thought I would introduce that topic and then, see if there was any interest or any questions and then go from there. So, but thank you for your years of help and support. We continue to grow and we do about 60 events a year. We are also doing, you'll see it at different times, but we have a wood-fired pizza oven trailer. And then we also have a 14-foot charcoal grill. So I try to say we're in the happy business. So we're working on broadening our stretch a little bit, working with different entertainers and different food vendors, just so we're not just a alcohol provider. So happy for any questions, but I just thought I'd introduce that topic. So
Jay, just out of curiosity, do you typically do private events or occasionally do private events?
we do. So every event is unique. So I think, there's going to be some similarities and there's not, especially in the private sector. And we actually offer transport even. So sometimes we hauled around Cool in the gang in our transport vehicles. I never know what the phone call is going to be. And it's kind of fun that way. But we do corporate and political and small weddings to big weddings to even behind the scenes stuff. We've helped with the Des Moines Marathon and Ironman and RAGBRAI, but we do a lot behind the scenes that people don't even realize we do. So.
Other questions? Okay. You were at the recent foundation party. How was that for you?
It's good. I think people really support the foundation and, the years working together. I understand what a gem, I guess, a gem of a city surrounded by other cities, Windsor Heights is, but it seems like just the community support is pretty unique, I think, because I worked with a lot of different municipalities, but you guys are just unique. So
That we are.
Do you think so? Yeah.
Is there something that is the idea that you're gonna make application? Is that, I guess, what's the next step in this?
well, I just try for there's such good inertia with that being done that what can I be another tool for someone that wants to do something there? So I was going to apply for the 14-day licenses, but I would have to see what the next longer length would be.
State approved by us.
That would probably help. So I didn't have to get all of those 14 days because I think I have to get 3 or 4 depending on how the calendar lays out. So, but just an introduction at this point. So
I think if we wanted to partner with somebody more long-term at the park, there's a few pieces that we'd have to think through as the city. Typically you get, what is it, a 5-day license or
5 or
3 to 5?
14? Yeah.
5 or 14. One thing I've heard is that through the state is, if you went for a longer term license, then you potentially hold that liability for the full duration of that license. And so, one of the reasons is I don't think you would want the license as it's currently structured for Nights in the Heights to run through the whole summer is anytime anybody would consume alcohol within that area that you've submitted to the state and approved by the city. If they're consuming alcohol, it would be potentially a liability for you under your policy. And you can't have two people serving alcohol within that area either. So if that area that you are licensing would include the community center and somebody were to do a private rental and didn't utilize Thirsty Pigs, that would potentially create a conflict there as well. So I think structurally we'd have to think through the benefits of having a sole provider, which I think there could be some, but also we'd be having to cooperate exclusively with that sole provider. You don't have an option to have 2 or 3 vendors. It would be all or nothing, or nobody as we currently have it structured other than temporary licenses. And then people can have a no cash bar inside the CEC, I think is how the city's got it structured. So that's kind of that gives some freedom from the state policies is by not charging for the alcohol. You don't have to have that same sort of a license as I understand it, but I don't proclaim to be an expert in it. I know Adam's studied some of this as well, but I've run into it in other municipalities and it's always a very convoluted, complex system. And as you alluded to, there's been some process changes, it sounds like, on the state side, as just for everybody's education, how it currently works is the vendor would submit to the state the application, it's reviewed by the state and then passed to the city and then approved by the city with some parameters given. The local jurisdiction does get to determine a few things such as how those boundaries are placed within that serving area if they own that property, but the state kind of takes the first blush at it and they have some of their own rules and regulations on how you can go through that. So.
And we've worked with, we've had it's not like we would need an annual license, but we have had an annual license with the big community of Rippey.
Right.
Sheldall is another one. But I mean, we've had longer licenses with other locations. And even if we have a longer license, from what I understand, we can, and we've had to do this, we have to suspend our license so someone else can activate a license. So I work with Johnson County at the fairgrounds there, and that's kind of a fun one to suspend and activate, but we get it done. So, but yes, I mean, you have to say very current, because every time you think, there's constant changes with ABD, and I find that they're enforcing more, and which, I mean, they have every right to do that, but as a business with a liability in the happy business, I try to be very cautious of that as well. So try to respect my 5 minutes. I don't want to get in trouble like
No.
Des Moines.
Fine. Well, they have special approval. That's okay.
Right.
Do we have your information?
Yep.
Chase?
Yep. We have
Okay.
these information.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
And at the public comment, we can't take any action because it's not on the agenda. So, but thank you for bringing it to our attention.
And I knew that, but I know that there's history here, so I just thought, well,
Well, it's a great thing to
just
do.
see. So thank you all. Have a good night and look forward to seeing you in Windsor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right, item 6, consent agenda.
To approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Joseph Jones?
Yes.
Michael Libby?
Yes.
Lauren Campbell?
Yes.
Yes.
Item 7A, consideration of the National Public Safety Telecommunications Week proclamation.
Second.
Last year, I think we heard from Matt McQuillan and Chief Mentola and passed the resolution, and we had a nice photo op. And Chief Mentola was just here speaking to us on March 17th about all the fine work that Westcom was doing and the plans that he had for the future. And it wasn't even 2 weeks later that we were informed of his passing. So I think all of our thoughts are with him, or with his family and with the Westcom family. Anyone else have any thoughts?
It's a shocking, tragic thing.
It was.
What a guy. He was so full of life, and he enjoyed that work and he had so many plans in the future. It's really sad.
I think just recognizing the, telecommunicators, and you guys heard me say this, when he was here, but it is the first point of contact in emergency situation, and people don't necessarily think of them as being part of the public safety team, and they're actually traditionally the first point of contact. And so, I think it's a job that gets overlooked, and because they're not necessarily the ones on the scene. But I've always been impressed in conversations is because they generally, even though they're physically, they are there engaged in the conversation, whether it's, keeping the person on the line, helping somebody, deliver, care, in an evolving situation. It's been fascinating to watch their roles change over time too, where it used to just be, receive a call and send out a dispatch. And now they can see cameras in schools, they can all of those sorts of things they have access to in so many different settings where they can alert like an officer if something is happening, all of those sorts of things. So I'm glad we're able to do this, and really recognize those public safety heroes because they endure a lot, and there's a lot of trauma that comes with them and the role that they play. So undervalued, unappreciated, I think. And so I'm glad we can do this for them.
All right. Thank you, Therese. Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
7B, consideration of resolution number 2025-27, a resolution approving a 20E agreement between the City of Windsor Heights and the City of West Des Moines for street sweeping services.
So moved.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is a revised and updated 28E agreement with the City of West Des Moines Public Services for street sweeping services that they perform here within the City of Windsor Heights. Changes to this perpetual 28E really focus on the financial, Section 5, the financial portion of it. West Des Moines has updated costs to operate their street sweeper from a maintenance and equipment standpoint, as well as what it takes for them to staff that piece of equipment while they're in town here. Street sweeping, besides kind of just the aesthetics of making everything kind of look nice streetwise, it actually is a very necessary component to our stormwater system. We are an MS4 community, which means that we fall, or I guess are required to kind of hit some targets of set forth by the EPA, governed by the DNR for stormwater related stuff. Some of those targets include, there's 6 of them, public outreach on stormwater impacts. So a lot of the work that we do with the WMA, items that we put out in the newsletter that are up on our website, pamphlets, stuff that we just have general information about stormwater and watershed type material is part of that. Public involvement and participation is another one. We host various different events. We have stream cleanup coming up here later this month, Earth Day. We also fund a reimbursement program called Stormwater Best Management Practices, where residents are eligible for reimbursement, various different projects related to soil quality, soil, water conservation, and water quality initiatives. to date, this year so far, I guess this spring, we've already had 3 residents apply. One project has already been completed. That is one thing that I'd like to kind of get back online. It seems that there's kind of a renewed interest into that, so that's good to see. Another requirement of the MS4 community is illicit discharge and elimination system. That is chapter 102 of our city code. Construction site regulations and sediment and erosion control ordinance. That is chapter 160 of our code. Post-construction stormwater management ordinance. That's chapter 161. The final, I guess, requirement is generally labeled as good housekeeping policies. So what that looks like for us as a public works department is doing and performing regular inspections, maintenance, repairs, infrastructure upgrades when we do road construction projects. And I would classify street sweeping as a good housekeeping practice. The point of street sweeping is to catch debris and contaminants before it enters into the system, because it's so much harder to get it out of there once it does enter that. So currently West Des Moines, we are in a regular rotation of their schedule. They come visit us quarterly, 4 times a year. This week, they're actually here in town, are scheduled to be here in town to do that service for us. There is a updated calendar on our website of when that will be happening throughout the rest of the year with the dates on there. Biggest changes, like I said, financially, West Des Moines bills us their hourly rate for their manpower and equipment, as well as whatever they collect, they dispose of at the landfill, and that's charged by the tonnage at the rate that they have for disposal there. Since 2013, fiscal year 13 is the first time that this agreement was set up. Hodney was still over there at West Des Moines. I think he and I don't recall who our public works director was at the time, formulated this. Before that, it was all private contract work. But for the last 12 years, West Des Moines has done this. They're very grateful for it. It's not an imposition on them. But just some quick numbers too. I didn't put this on the staff report, but the average of those last 12 years was $14,312. The median value of what we've paid West Des Moines in those 12 years was $13,990. With these changes going forward, and it seems like everything else is going up, I would say we're probably looking at that $15,000 to $20,000 range going forward. We allocate this within our stormwater budget accordingly, and pay for it out of, I guess, out of that enterprise directly. So those are the kind of the highlighted changes there. It is my recommendation to renew or approve the changes to that. And West Des Moines will likewise seek approval from their council to continue the agreement. So thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
So I didn't see on there, but you said it's quarterly that they.
Yes.
Now, it was either last year or the year before, last year, that we asked them to come again, like
Mhm.
November, December, because is that going to be added on to this? Is that going to be like the 5th time they come through, or?
We have the ability to kind of request that service. It's charged at a different rate. I think it's, I don't have it in front of me. I think it's about $200. It should be in
It's
that,
in that, yeah.
in there. That, or if we have an emergency or something happens, accident, where we can request them to come do that, it's charged at a little bit higher rate, but it's maybe more that kind of emergency or as like needed basis. So they're willing to do that. It depends on kind of what their schedule looks like too, and availability. Otherwise we could try and go outside of that too in the private sector if we need something
I just want to make
additional.
sure, because I think it did a good job of cleaning up the leaves.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was the first week in December. I don't remember when it came through, but if we could just maybe plan that
I think
ahead of
it was a
time.
late frost that year, wasn't it? And I think they
Last-
passed and
But
the
the
leaves were
last
still on
2
trees.
years, it's been like we needed it again 2 years ago. And then last year, we actually did have it done because they're even, like Metro Waste is even trying to back up their containers, their pickup. So I know that it really needed it done badly. So I just want to make sure that we have that in, and I don't know if that means that we add, if we talk to them about adding another, instead of quarter, we do a quarter plus one.
Sure.
Or,
Yeah.
but I just don't want us to get forgotten about either. If it's easier to plan ahead of time.
Just remind them about all the trees that we have.
Well, I think a couple of things. So I'm glad you brought that up, Susan, because that was gonna be, so are they doing the first one now? So if they're doing it quarterly, that actually should pan out appropriately. So
I don't have the schedule in
Okay.
front of me.
can we,
I guess.
can we not pick our schedule?
West Des Moines sets the schedule kind of based on their zones. They do Valley Junction, I
Okay.
think bi-weekly, and we're kind of at their mercy, I guess, of whatever
Sure.
they set for schedule wise.
Well,
We
but
can definitely, I can,
if we're doing it quarter,
request.
I guess my point is if we're doing it
Pulled it up, you
Quar-
pulled up the dates.
quarterly, so what do you have?
So this week, June 23rd to 27th, September 1st through the 5th, and November 3rd through the 7th.
Yeah, so why would we
So
have them
early
to be
November.
2 months apart? It's like we're trying to squish this. It's not really quarterly then. It's 4 times, but
But not
yeah,
quarterly,
but not quarterly.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is that if we're gonna do, because technically if we're doing it in April, then it should be July,
I think. sorry, go ahead.
September, no. So if we can push that November back to the first week of December, and I'm glad that Metro Waste is looking at extending that too. Not only do we have a lot of trees, but I think if you look at even past the last couple of years, that leaf fall has been so much later. People are still.
Into December.
Yeah. So I just think I don't think it makes sense for us to add one. I think it just makes sense for us to change the date.
Shift it around. Okay.
That's my suggestion. And then where did the rate go for? I saw it's 169. What did it go from what to what?
135 to
Okay.
169.
And then, just because are they the only game in town?
I did reach out to some other neighboring agencies. None of them had any interest really
Okay.
in doing that. I also I looked way back in the financial records to see who was used before, and it was non-responsive on getting back to me about providing a price for.
Okay. That's
for
fine. Thanks for
service.
doing that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I was just curious.
I can follow up with them about the schedule. They do have 2025 set, but going forward, I can at least make that recommendation or ask of them. And I guess I'd have to look at the calendar or kind of what they have said. Obviously, their jurisdiction maybe would take a little bit more priority than ours, right? So I would say the advantage of having it done in early November is if the weather turns and it doesn't get done, then you're kind of at the mercy of the weather that time of year. So yes, winter's been getting later and later, but at the same time, it's also nice to kind of have it done there too, right around that early November, Thanksgiving time as well. So
I think we heard from a bunch of residents though about it.
I think
about
the
how-
issue, the issue is that the trees haven't dropped their
Yeah.
leaves. So it doesn't, if they go through and there's nothing there, it doesn't matter anyway.
right.
So, I would also say that if, I understand it's 2080 agreement, but we're also paying customer.
Yeah.
And so it's, hopefully they would be willing to work with us
Sure.
on that.
Okay.
Andy, this weekend I talked to somebody who was complaining about a neighboring community and how they don't sweep their streets, and that in a 2-week period he got 2 flat tires on his bike, and it cost him like $400 in less than a month because of the street. So another reason why this is important, especially with all the people we see out as the weather gets nicer.
And I mean, I guess to the point too, timing is kind of everything, right? I mean, they could come through town, and if, like you said, the leaves haven't dropped, or if, the rain knocks a lot of the buds off this time of year, which you can kind of see through town, even right now. So, our department doesn't necessarily have the funding, the staff, the equipment to do this service. It's always kind of been outsourced to private industry or a neighboring jurisdiction. So the cost of buying a street sweeper is very expensive. You're talking almost $80,000 to $100,000. Plus, they're just a maintenance nightmare that I don't think we want. And then you have to have dedicated staff to do that certain times of the year too. So it's a little bit of a high ask for us to do it internally. I'm comfortable. I feel like West Des Moines does do a good job when they come through town. So that's my, I guess, recommendation.
So we're so are asking for the 4 times, but the 4th time in December is the ask. Is that sort of what the consensus is?
Later November,
Right.
December.
Sounds like adding a 5th one this year though, because the schedule's already set.
Yeah.
But from this point
Yeah.
on later.
Well,
And I guess I don't know if that would necessarily change the agreement that's before you tonight. It would just be more of a kind of a scheduling calendar type of
Is it possible
conversation.
is it possible for future agreements to say, the fourth quarter scheduled as, weather dependent or, to keep it more flexible maybe? Or is this, because this just sets it for the whole year, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't have dates in
It
there.
does, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
It
have
doesn't
how
have
many
dates in here.
times.
Okay,
It doesn't even have how many times they come through the
Just that's
city.
what the hourly rate is.
gotcha.
So the way West Des Moines breaks it down is they break it out into different zones, and then Valley Junction, they do on a more routine or frequent basis. And they kind of mix us into that schedule. So the rest of their town, or I mean, their whole community plus ours, plus their service to the Valley Junction neighborhood, that they have a lot to balance there with I believe they only have 2 street sweepers and a couple of operators. So they kind of got to balance and schedule that out how they see fit too. But I will definitely make it a point to push for that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, questions? Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
7C, consideration of the second reading of ordinance 2025-01 with regards to design elements for on-premises signs.
Move to approve.
Second.
AJ?
Yes, so second reading, this is again to allow projecting signs in our urban center district, so along University Avenue. Right now, they're not allowed. The requirements for projecting signs would allow them to extend out up to 3 feet, a total of 150 square feet. The qualifier on that is the building has to be tall enough to accommodate that, and you need to set it up from the sidewalk, street, or alleyway as well. So 150 feet isn't achievable in almost any scenario unless you've got a 6-7 story building potentially. The question was asked last time about the P and Z vote. I did include the minutes, which finished up now in the agenda. The commissioner that voted against it expressed some concern about a history of being very intentional on signage in Windsor Heights and some concerns about projecting signs falling and injuring somebody. I have spoken with Safe Building. Safe Building does our inspections of signs that would include both the installation process and the fastening devices used to attach that projecting sign to a building. That can't just be attached to the facade. It's got to get into the actual structural component of the building. And then they also inspect the electrical component of that as well. So that would be, I guess, the response to those potential concerns is they are professionally inspected at all times. Happy to answer any other questions you have.
So since we're talking about inspections, are they ever inspected like after they're put in, like every 1, 3, 5, 10 years? Just curiosity. I mean, I drove around, I was in various cities here recently and kind of a lot of the walking cities, and they did have a lot of signs. I actually paid attention to the signs and they did have a lot of signs kind of up higher that they really stuck out when you're walking. So, but then my thought was, how often is this inspected? Is this something that does get inspected, since we do have some concern? Is it something that Safe Building inspects on a regular basis, kind of like how they do,
Restaurants or
yeah,
whatever, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
smokes, like fire stuff, that type of thing? Do we know?
There's no periodic inspection. If there was a concern brought, we could have it inspected, but as it stands currently, we don't do any inspection of signs unless there's an issue brought forward that would result in a staff member calling Safe Building and ask them to inspect a potential issue, such as a broken window or structurally deficient roof or something like that.
But we could make the request.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly have instances where a resident calls us or somebody else notes that they see a pillar that's come off like the motel property there at 6500 Hickman. Noticed as they're going through the site planning process that there's a pillar that's been detached, looked like got hit by a car at some point. We called Safe Building and had them inspected to see if that was a structural pillar or if it was just aesthetic. So I can see your point. You know, the only projecting sign that's being proposed right now would be the one on the Windsor, which isn't directly underneath any walkways. Not to say somebody couldn't walk in the grass under it. We also have awnings on University Avenue. Those are never inspected. The Colby buildings, those are fairly old.
I don't think it's not different than any other fixture, I think, is right.
So I guess I would be a little hesitant to go down that road, but I can certainly appreciate the concern.
Other questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Waive the third reading.
Yeah.
Is there interest in waiving the third reading?
Yes,
Yes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Teresa can take it.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't.
Got all that in it?
1, 2.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
All right, 7D, consider waiving the fees for a canceled event for Invisible 515 on April 5th, 2025. AJ?
Yes, there was an event scheduled at the Pavilion at Colby Park for April 5th. That event relocated to a different venue. They did pay their fee for the pavilion rental. I believe it was about $100. They did cancel that within the cancellation window. However, our policy is not to provide a refund. They can reschedule and utilize that credit. There is an exclusion in there for extenuating circumstances. Changing your venue, in my opinion, was not that sort of a circumstance. So I am recommending against the refund. However, I wanted to bring this one to council if you had a difference of opinion on that. No issue. Just didn't feel like it was within my confines as city administrator, given the circumstances to waive that. So
I agree with the staff recommendation, but have there been any other refunds given in the last year for any reason?
there was a partial refund or two given for CEC renters in instances where there's an equipment failure or something of that nature, not due to a weather condition or them wanting to change a date or anything that I recall.
Our equipment.
Yes.
And how far in advance had they rented the pavilion?
I do not know the answer to that question.
If they had rented it the day before and then canceled the following day, I feel like maybe that would be a different consideration if they had, because we didn't miss out on the opportunity for a rental. But if they had it rented for more than whatever period of time and then canceled 2 days before, I feel like we didn't have an opportunity to also rent that pavilion to anyone. So that was something that I often factored in when I had my studio that I rented out. So
Our pavilion is a very hot commodity for rentals. But yes.
Well, I support the staff recommendation and give them a credit for future use.
I agree. That's what I would go with.
Okay. Do you have your direction?
Yes.
Okay. Reports. My report is in the packet. And tomorrow is MAC, right?
It is.
Hopefully there's a full enough quorum to pass the bylaws for the third, fourth, fifth, or sixth meeting in a row. Ms. Harms.
I will be on Mac virtually because I need to be at the great building downtown, but, I'm not sure. I don't think I have anything. I'm consumed by the legislature right now, so my apologies, but, yeah, we have Mac tomorrow. I think that's all. If anybody has any questions, let me know.
Ms. Campbell.
I attended DART on April Fool's Day, and we got an update on Reimagine DART and the progress there. Joseph or I will make sure that everyone is familiar with the options that are moving forward, and Joseph will be prepared to represent our opinion back to DART. But it's really exciting to see the work that the consultant has done, and DART's brightest days are for it. I'm positive of that. That's all I got.
Levy.
Nothing other than the fact that we just completed a second podcast for the city of Windsor Heights, and this features Colby Park and all of the changes that have been done, and looking forward to the future. That's it.
Jones.
As was said, the charge given to all of us commissioners was that our councils would have a discussion about the spectrum of DART's future, from ridership or frequency all the way to coverage, and where we would land as a city and what we would support. And so hopefully we can get it on our agenda to talk at the next meeting, just to have a discussion about that, just to hear everyone's thoughts. But Lauren and I definitely have some thoughts about where we believe we should go into this conversation with the rest of the commission. But would love to hear from y'all as well. And we'll send you some info ahead of time so you can make sure you've all seen it.
Joseph, how long are they accepting public comment?
Is it through like the third week of April? The 22nd? 28th?
The last meeting
Okay.
after Urbandale.
Okay.
Special
Thank
meeting
you.
in May. is when
Yeah,
there'll be the
so
official
I would
vote.
say through April.
He was paying attention to Urbandale's Facebook post as a. We're gonna get our own up. We're gonna get our own up.
Yeah.
Gonna help on that. Multiple times.
So throughout the month, and there's several chances to do that. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Scary.
Let's see. I attended a few chamber events. Bash takes place tomorrow from 4 to 6. I was at the Metro Waste Executive Board meeting last Wednesday. I attended the Zoom meeting for Reimagine DART on Thursday evening. We held our March and April special events meeting on Friday. Cassandra from Polk County attended the meeting, as she is joining, as the Walnut Creek Watershed is joining Earth Day on April 26th. So still looking for volunteers to help at the Earth Day event. Again, April 26th, noon to 3 p.m. Then the Friday after that, May 2nd, is our first movie in the park. We'll be watching Matilda. It was nice to attend the Foundation's event where they disclosed the bands for Nights in the Heights. That was on Friday. I've been busy planning Touch a Truck and the rest of the movies after the May event. I'm still working on finding food trucks to attend movies in June, August, and September. So if you have any suggestions, I'm happy to hear and contact the trucks. I'm trying to have a variety of food trucks and then to make sure that they're also family friendly and not completely out of the means financially. So just kind of looking for any suggestions. I have gone through quite a list of food trucks that have not either responded or are not able to attend.
Susan, that was March, August, and September?
That was
Not March,
June, not March.
June.
March is beyond.
yeah. June, August, and September. Let's see. Metro Waste meeting for April has been canceled. Just a friendly reminder, the Easter egg hunt is on April 19th, starting right at 9 a.m. And every egg should be picked up before 9:01 a.m., like the hungry
Great.
hippos. Reminder, the public or the parking and the route to the community event center will be affected by the road work, so think ahead before you head on down there. Then last but not least, Wake Up Windsor Heights is on Thursday at 8 AM here at the Public Safety Building. So that's it.
TJ?
Just note, Andy and I were looking at the schedule for 73rd Street today, and they are dead on right now. So hopefully the weather and continues to hold for them, and progress is happening on 68th. We'll continue to work that. We've had a couple challenges early on, but I think we're starting to see progress, and hopefully we'll work well with the contractor going forward.
I did get a text from a resident on 68th that her garbage wasn't picked up today. So,
Excuse me.
so
Do you have an address on that?
I can get that to you.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call.
Stephen Sears.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael
Yes.
Levy, Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.